I was helping the campus belle fix her virus-infected computer at her house. My online girlfriend sent me a message. Baby, my computer broke. My dad actually called that most annoying guy from my class to fix it. He's so irritating. Could it really be such a coincidence? I glanced at Lu Ruyan, who was sitting right in front of me, tapping away on her phone, and felt a little puzzled. That guy isn't just boring. He's a total bookworm. I don't like him at all, she muttered, still keeping her eyes on the screen. I was so startled I didn't dare reply. Could it really be this coincidental? Even though I'd met my online girlfriend through a local group chat in the same city. Can you focus on the progress bar instead of playing with your phone? Lu Ruyan snapped when she noticed I was zoning out. Her tone made it clear she wasn't impressed with my slacking. All right. I replied sheepishly, putting my phone down and pretending to check the progress again. Then my phone started vibrating wildly. Seriously? You tell me not to use my phone, yet you keep messaging me. I looked up, right into her slightly disdainful gaze, and silently switched my phone to silent mode. Luckily, she didn't notice anything unusual. I still couldn't believe it. The girl I'd been dating online for so long was none other than Lu Ruyan, the famous campus belle. She was wearing an ice silk slip dress, her expression impatient, looking as if she wanted nothing more than to kick me out. Her figure and looks were stunning. Sitting on the nearby sofa with one leg crossed over the other, her slender pale calves swayed faintly within my peripheral vision, seriously affecting my efficiency. The scent of expensive perfume mixed with the cool air from the AC drifted toward me. I nearly plugged my USB drive into the wrong port. On the screen, the antivirus progress bar crept forward inch by inch. Honestly, the virus itself wasn't difficult to handle, but Lu Ruyan had installed a mountain of random software on her computer. Cleaning out the junk alone took me half an hour. How exactly had I ended up at the campus belle's house? It all started that afternoon. Chunze posted in our dorm group chat. Got a gig fixing a computer, Central Villa District. Pays well. Anyone interested? I happen to need money. Well, actually, I didn't need money. I was just bored, so I took the job, hopping into a cab straight to the city's most expensive villa area. The man who opened the door was in his 40s, dressed in a casual polo shirt, gentle and refined. The kind of person who clearly had money but didn't flaunt it. Hello, you must be number 10? Come in, please, come in. He was so warm it left me a little flattered. Only after stepping inside did I realize this was Lu Ruyan's home, and that the middle-aged man was her father. Inside, I was completely floored. Who in the entire school didn't know that Lu Ruyan equals Campus Belle plus Ferrari plus Central Villa District? Those three labels alone put 99% of the male students at a safe distance from her. And worse, Lu Ruyan and I had history. Or rather, she thought we did. Is the progress bar done yet? Lu Ruyan's voice yanked me back to reality. Almost 87% now. She went back to staring at her phone. Seizing the chance while she was distracted, I glanced at my messages. My online girlfriend had sent several more. Baby, why aren't you replying? That bookworm is right here fixing my computer. He looks so dull it's annoying. Dull looking? I instinctively touched my own face. Did I look that dull? Chunze always said I looked decent, though his taste wasn't exactly reliable. Finally, the progress bar hit 100%. I cleaned up the leftover viruses in just a few moves and ran a quick system vulnerability scan. The reason her computer got infected in the first place was simple. Lu Ruyan had downloaded a sketchy drama-watching app from some random site, and the app itself was basically a Trojan horse. Don't download stuff from weird sites anymore. That app was loaded with viruses, I told her. Lu Ruyan gave me a glance that practically screamed, mind your own business. Got it, she said coldly, the single word chilling enough to make me shiver. After finishing with the computer, I was ready to take my payment and leave. But my professional habits kicked in, and I decided to check their home network security while I was at it. I discovered that the Lu family's smart home system had several gaping vulnerabilities. Their door locks, surveillance cameras, AC, and temperature controls were all connected to the same router, protected by the default password, ambiguous. If a hacker targeted them, they could have their front door wide open in minutes. I hesitated, then mentioned it to Lu Ruyan. Your smart system has quite a few security holes. Want me to tighten things up while I'm here? She looked at me as if I were just trying to squeeze out extra cash. Whatever, she said indifferently. I spent about 40 minutes reconfiguring the whole system, setting stronger passwords, isolating devices, and patching the surveillance system. By the time I finished, Lu Ruyan's father had returned home. All done. Thanks for the hard work. Lu Fu scanned through my work log, his eyes lighting up. You know network security too? Sort of. It's related to my major. I'm in the computer science department. Lu Fu slapped his thigh. Perfect. I want to discuss something with you. Our smart system breaks down every few days, and Nyan's computers and phones crash constantly. We hired a few people before, but they either thought it was too far or too much trouble. They all quit halfway. How about this? You come by 3 times a week for regular tech maintenance. I'll pay you well for it. He named a number that nearly made my eyeballs fall out. Triple what I'd expected. Uncle Lou, that's way too much. Not at all. Professionals deserve professional pay. I was just about to nod when Lou Ruyan cut in. Dad, since when do we lack people? Can't we just hire a maintenance company? Translation, she didn't want me coming over. Lu Fu gave her a calm look. One glance was enough to make Lu Ruyan shut her mouth immediately. Clearly, in the Lu household, Lu Fu was the final boss. All right then, it's settled. Number 10, leave me your contact info. Just like that, I somehow became the Lu family's long-term part-time IT guy, collecting an absurdly high salary, at the cost of facing a campus belle who looked like she wanted to skin me alive 3 times a week. The moment I stepped out of the Lu residence, I checked my online girlfriend's latest message. Baby, that annoying guy finally left. But my dad seems to really like him. Oh, I was almost certain now my online girlfriend was Lu Ruyan. To explain the bad blood between us, I have to go back to freshman year, 2nd semester. The university held a programming competition where teams were formed across majors. I got assigned to Lu Ruyan's team. She was in design, responsible for UI and presenting our project, while I handled the backend and core algorithms. At first, everything was normal until we began discussing interface design. Her drafts looked amazing, elegant color palettes, sophisticated layouts, but some of the interaction logic was impossible to implement, at least within the competition's timeframe. I told her once. She ignored me. I told her twice. Still no dice. When I told her the 3rd time, she shot back. Just because you can't do it doesn't mean someone else can't. Fine, then I'd do it. I pulled 3 consecutive all-nighters and managed to deliver every effect she'd wanted. During the presentation, everything went smoothly, until the judges asked a technical question about our project's data caching mechanism. Standing on stage, Lu Ruyan answered confidently, but she got it wrong. She'd mixed up client-side caching with server-side caching. Sitting in the audience, I meant to whisper a correction, but whether it was nerves or something else, my voice came out far louder than intended. That's wrong. That's not how it works. Everyone heard it. Lu Ruyan froze on stage, her face visibly changing color. The judge laughed and invited me up to explain. After I clarified the concept, we ended up winning first prize. But Lu Ruyan never gave me a kind look again. Worse still, later, Chunze complained about it in the cafeteria. Dude, the look on your face just screamed, I'm mocking her. Somehow, those words got exaggerated as they spread, eventually turning into, Number 10 thinks Lu Ruyan's just a pretty vase who's good for nothing except looking good. I never said anything like that, but Lu Ruyan believed it. Or maybe, in her world, I was simply the jerk who humiliated her in public. From that day on, we never spoke again, until today. So there I was, sitting at her computer, smelling her perfume, watching her type messages to her husband complaining about me. Life really was full of dark humor. On my official first day, I met Lu Ruyan's younger sister, Lu Nyan, 15 years old, a freshman in high school, and chattier than a machine gun. The moment I stepped through the door, she bolted downstairs. You're number 10G. Dad says you're super amazing. Do you know hacking? Can you teach me? I want to learn. The rapid-fire questions left me dizzy. I'm not a hacker. Then can you make games? I want to make my own little game. That's something you can learn. Awesome. Number 10G, you're the best. Nyan's enthusiasm was the polar opposite of her sister's icy demeanor. Lu Ruyan sat on the living room sofa, giving me a cold glance before standing up and heading upstairs without a single word. Fine by me. Her attitude saved me the awkwardness. I inspected the Lu family's network equipment first, then gave Nyan's laptop a thorough checkup. The kid had over a dozen pop-up programs installed, her desktop littered with shady speed-up and free cleaner tools. Nyan, all these are viruses, you get that? But he said they'd make my computer faster. I spent an hour cleaning everything out and installing legitimate antivirus software. Stop clicking random pop-ups from now on. Okay, number 10G. Number 10G, you're so patient. Last time, the repair guy stayed 10 minutes, then left and even rolled his eyes at me. Plus, number 10G, you're really handsome. Being praised for my looks by a 15-year-old girl left me a little embarrassed. Just then, my phone buzzed. My online girlfriend's message popped up. Baby, that bookworm came again today. I swear, my dad's obsession with him makes no sense. Followed immediately by, and my sister's acting like she's bewitched, running around waiting on him hand and foot. Is that necessary? I glanced at Nyan, who was pouring me a glass of juice. then toward the direction of Lu Ruyan's room upstairs and sighed inwardly. Big sis, the person you've been ranting about online is sitting right here in your living room. And so life went on. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday after school, I'd head to the Liu's to inspect their equipment, teach Nyan coding, and endure Lu Ruyan's frosty glares. In real life, her stare could freeze Antarctica. Online, she called me baby and hubby, sharing every detail of her mood swings, her sweetness capable of melting hearts. That split existence was thrilling, to say the least. Like the time I was fixing their router and accidentally knocked over Lu Ruyan's cup, spilling water all over her skirt. She turned ice-cold instantly, said nothing, and marched upstairs to change. 10 minutes later, my online girlfriend messaged, "Baby, I'm so mad. That clumsy oaf spilled water all over me. My favorite skirt. He totally did it on purpose. He's such a perv." I almost laughed out loud reading that. On purpose? What would I possibly gain from pouring water on you? But I couldn't laugh, because when Lu Ruyan came back downstairs, she was eyeing me like I was a criminal. Keeping my face blank, I typed back, "Baby, don't be angry. I'm sure he didn't mean it." The moment I hit send, I heard her phone ding. She glanced at the screen, and her expression softened just a fraction. Then she started typing again. My phone buzzed. "Yeah, maybe. Forget it. So, baby, how was your day?" I was sitting less than 3 meters away from her. Knowing who she was while she had no clue, that feeling was equal parts exhilarating and nerve-wracking. What stressed me out even more was that Lu Ruyan had recently started pushing for us to meet in person. "Baby, when can we finally meet? I really want to see you. If I look sort of like that classmate of yours, would you still like me?" I was actually a little nervous asking that. It took her over 10 minutes to reply, "Absolutely not. You can't look anything like that bookworm. If you did, I'd have nightmares." Reading that, I was speechless. "Baby," you finally replied. "What were you doing just now?" At that exact moment, I was sitting in her living room, helping Nyan debug code. Some idiot pissed me off. I'm annoyed. What kind of idiot dares to upset my baby? Hearing yourself being insulted by the very person you're talking to. Now that was a first. Before long, Lu Ruyan's birthday arrived. That morning, I'd barely reached the school gates when I saw a massive crowd gathered. Chunze emerged from the throng, grinning ear to ear as he grabbed me. Quick, quick. Wang Teng's going to confess to Lu Ruyan." "Wang Teng? Who's that?" Chunze gave me a look like I'd just crawled out from under a rock. "You know, the guy who wears designer brands every day, claims his family runs a business? You seriously don't know him?" I really didn't pay attention to that crowd. At the gate stood an enormous heart-shaped flower arrangement, red roses covering the ground. In the center stood a tall, sharp-featured guy holding an expensive-looking cake box. "Pretty handsome," I commented objectively. Chunze clapped me on the shoulder. "Handsome means nothing. How many handsome guys have confessed to Lu Ruyan? Have you ever seen her agree to date one? Plus, Wang Teng's reputation is trash. He bullies students from poorer families. Last semester, he cornered someone in the bathroom and beat them up. My impression of Wang Teng dropped instantly from pretty handsome to complete idiot. Lu Ruyan's Ferrari roared to a stop, its butterfly doors lifting as she stepped out like she'd walked straight out of a painting. Wang Teng strode over confidently. "Ruyan, happy birthday. There's something I've been wanting to tell you." Lu Ruyan glanced at the cake in his hands, not even breaking stride. "Thanks, but no thanks. Clean, efficient, zero room for fantasy." Wang Teng stood frozen, the roses at his feet suddenly looking painfully ironic. Whispers rippled through the crowd, some laughing, some pitying. Chunze was practically bouncing. Knew he wouldn't stand a chance. Just when I thought the farce was over, my phone rang. Caller ID, Uncle Lu. Number 10, Nyan's tablet crashed again, white screen. "Can you swing by around noon? Rian's at school. I'll have her bring you back." Before I could refuse, Uncle Lu hung up. About a minute later, Lu Ruyan's Ferrari stopped again. She stepped out, ears faintly pink. Whether from anger or from being remotely tamed by her father, I couldn't tell. She walked straight toward me, breezing past Wang Teng without sparing him a glance. The whole crowd held its breath. Stopping right in front of me, her expression was glacial enough to kill. "Come home with me at noon." Nyan's tablet broke. Each word landed like a slab of ice. But from the outside, the scene looked like this. The campus belle rejects a grand public confession, then immediately seeks out another guy, inviting him home. The crowd exploded. Wang Teng's glare burned into me. I'll never forget that look. Chunze clutched my arm, his nails digging into my flesh. "Come home with me? Did you seriously land her?" "Land her? I do IT maintenance for her family." "Ugh, you're killing me. I thought we were brothers. Turns out you bagged my goddess. Get a grip, will you?" Grabbing Chinze, I bolted for the classroom, desperate to escape the heat of everyone's stares, especially Wang Tang's, which looked like I'd murdered his entire family in a past life. Once safely inside, I finally checked my online girlfriend's messages. Baby, it's my birthday today. Got a gift for me. Right, today was her birthday. Today was Lu Rian's birthday. I thought for a moment, then sent her a 200 yuan red envelope. Happy now? Give me a smile. Instead of accepting it, Lu Rian sent me a red envelope. Hubby, take this money and buy me a cake. Deliver it to a university, okay? The corner of my mouth twitched up. I accepted the money at lightning speed and closed the chat. Let's see how it feels to lose both your pride and your cash. During class, I could feel a resentful gaze stabbing into the back of my head. Wang Tung. The guy sat in the front row, turning around every few minutes to glare at me, as if I'd personally ruined his life. What are you looking at? You look like a scorned wife. I forced myself to ignore him and focus on the lecture, but after 2 full classes of that, my mental state was crumbling. As soon as class ended, Lu Rian walked out, and Wang Tung appeared in front of me. Number 10, I suggest you wake up to reality. Look at yourself. Look at Lu Rian. Do you really think you're worthy? I smiled at him and said nothing. Fake Dior jacket, and he's lecturing me about reality? Please. I couldn't be bothered arguing in the classroom. It was embarrassing. My silence seemed to fuel his confidence. He kept going. And then he said the one thing that shattered every ounce of restraint I had. Speaking of which, doesn't your mom pick you up every day? Where's your dad? Oh, right, you don't have one. He even smirked as he said it. My blood turned to ice, then boiled. I stood up and slapped him across the face. The sound echoed through the classroom, silencing everyone instantly. My father had been a fire commander. My mother? A wealthy heiress who loved beauty to her core. How did 2 people from completely different worlds end up together? It was practically legendary. Back then, my mom's rebellious phase came late. At 25, she suddenly became obsessed with raising bizarre creatures. Lizards, centipedes, even snakes. My grandparents refused to set foot in her home after that. Then one day, one of her little snakes escaped through a crack in its tank. She dialed 119. The officer who answered was my father. He searched her place top to bottom for over an hour before finally fishing the snake out from under her bed. Later, he patched the tank with duct tape and, as he left, said, "If you're scared, why do you keep them?" My mom lost it and shoved him out the door. The next day, another snake disappeared. She called 119 again. Back and forth it went. My father visited her home more than 10 times. Once, my mom got into a car accident, and my father pulled her out of the wreckage. During her recovery, he visited daily. 2 weeks later, they were together. Unfortunately, it didn't last. When I was 10, a chemical plant leaked. The owner had hidden the true amount of hazardous material stored on site. When the fire crew entered, a secondary explosion occurred. That night, my mother locked away every luxury item she owned and cried until dawn. It was the first time I'd ever seen her look so devastated. After that, she always smiled in front of others, except on my father's death anniversary, when she'd disappear to grieve alone. So when Wang Tung sneered, "You don't have a dad," it wasn't just an insult. It was a knife buried deep in my oldest wound. "You actually dared to hit me." Wang Tung covered his cheek, incredulous. His friends closed in, tension crackling in the air. I wasn't backing down, fists clenched tight. No regrets. Not for hitting someone who insulted my father. Suddenly, a hand gripped my wrist, not forceful, but firm. I turned. Lu Rian. She frowned at me, expression unreadable. Anger, maybe, but something else too. Fighting? Can you even do your job properly? My sister's programming homework is due next week. I shook her hand off. What does your sister's homework have to do with anything? She gave me a look that clearly said, "Say one more word, and I'll punch you myself." But the moment Lu Rian appeared, Wang Tung's bravado evaporated. He was best at playing innocent in front of her. Like a rat scurrying into a sewer, he slunk back to his seat. Lu Rian glanced at me, then at Wang Tung, let out a cold humph, and walked off without another word. But she had come. She had stopped me. That night, my online girlfriend's message arrived late. "Hubby, what happened today? Did someone bully you? You seemed upset." I stared at the screen for a long time. How did she know? I hadn't sent a single message all day. Nothing. Just tired. Gonna sleep early. Then rest well. Good night, hubby. Good night. I turned off my phone and lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling. Those words stayed stuck in my throat. If she knew who I really was, would she still call me hubby? At noon, I followed Lu Rian home. Nyan's tablet truly had a white screen, system crash. It needed a complete reset. While the reinstallation progress bar crawled forward, Nyan chattered nonstop. "Number 10G, why'd you take so long getting here? I waited forever. Something came up." "What?" "My sister said you got into a fight at school." I blinked. Lu Rian told her that. Not really a fight, just a bit of conflict. Nian tilted her head, eyes full of sympathy. Number 10G, are you okay? Did you get hurt? Nah, I just slapped someone. Whoa, number 10G, that's so cool. What was so cool about that? After the reinstall finished, Uncle Lu came home. At the dining table, he suddenly dropped a bombshell. Number 10, I'm giving you a raise. From now on, come at noon too. Nian's free in the afternoons. She can keep learning programming. No need, Uncle Lu. The current pay is already more than enough. Don't be shy. Nian's extremely picky. We've hired plenty of tutors before, and not one satisfied her. He paused. Plus, your mother isn't in great health, right? You could probably use the money. I nearly choked on my rice. Uncle Lu had misunderstood. My mom was in the hospital, but not because she was sick. She'd faked an illness just to get closer to a doctor she'd taken a liking to. How was I supposed to explain that? No. 10G's mom isn't well. That must be tough on him, Nian said, her face full of concern. It's fine, I said. Lu Rian sat across from me, head down, quietly eating. Not a word. But I could have sworn her chopsticks hesitated for just a second. Raise accepted. No point refusing free money. That afternoon, since there were no classes, I taught Nian how to code a simple game, Snake. The kid was genuinely clever, with strong logical thinking. One explanation was all she needed to start improvising. It's moving. Number 10G, look, my snake's moving. Calm down. You haven't added collision detection yet. Right now, your snake can phase through walls. Wall-phasing snakes are cute too. After the lesson, Nian suddenly whipped out her phone. Number 10G, do you play Honor of Kings? Yeah, why? Carry me. I'm stuck in Diamond. Might as well. One match couldn't hurt. We played a round. 13 kills, 0 deaths. Total domination. Nian nearly bounced off her chair. Number 10G, you're insane. Coding, gaming, and handsome. She leaned in, whispering, why don't you just marry my sister already? Don't talk nonsense. Heh. A moment later, Nian dashed out of the room with her phone. 2 minutes later, she was back, expression odd. What's wrong? Nothing. My sister saw your gamer tag. She looked weird. My stomach dropped. My ID, a university's #1 hunk. I suddenly remembered. Lu Rian's ID was a university's #1 beauty. They were a matching couple set. We'd pick them together. Oh no. Over the next few days, Lu Rian's attitude shifted subtly. I couldn't quite pinpoint how, but the coldness felt different. She still acted frosty, yet she started coming out of her room for water whenever I was teaching Nian. Once. Coincidence. 5 days in a row. Not a chance. Online, her complaints about me decreased. Before, she'd call me a bookworm, a blockhead, a creep, every single day. Now, it was down to once every few days. Progress, I guess. Her messages also grew less frequent. Instead of constant updates, conversations became occasional and deliberate. I assumed she was just busy, didn't think much of it. Later, she admitted that during those days, she'd been processing a massive realization. The person she'd been dating online was the very bookworm she claimed to despise. Shock, denial, verification, reluctant acceptance. It took her days to sort herself out. Then came that weekend. I finished teaching Nian and was about to leave. She grabbed my sleeve. Number 10G, you promised to take me to the amusement park this weekend. I had promised. She'd helped pass an important file to Uncle Lu. Only later did I find out Uncle Lu had used her as an excuse to get me over. I'd agreed to treat her to a trip as thanks. All right, tomorrow. Nian cheered and ran off. 2 minutes later, she was back, expression strange. What's wrong? Your mom won't let you go. No, Mom said yes. But my sister's coming too. Wait, Lu Rian's going to an amusement park. With that icy expression of hers, she'd probably freeze the roller coaster midair. Nian sighed dramatically. I know, right? She's never cared about amusement parks before. The next day, I took a cab to the Lu residence. Nian bounced out in a tracksuit. 5 minutes later, Lu Rian finally emerged. For a solid 2 seconds, my brain short-circuited. She wore a white backless dress, glowing like sunlight carved into crystal. Her skin, especially her calves and back, was luminous. I forced my gaze away. Do not stare. Staring leads to death. Nian didn't hold back. Sis, we're going to play, not a fashion show. If you don't want to go, go do your homework. I quickly smoothed things over. Let's go, the car's here. In the taxi, the driver glanced at us in the rearview mirror. Well, 2 of you look ready to climb a mountain, and 1 looks ready to walk a red carpet. Nian and I burst out laughing. Lu Rian turned her icy stare onto me. Funny, of course she only picks on me. Nian's big mouth kept running. Number 10G, you know my classmate's older sister? She's even nicer than my sister and super pretty. I'll introduce you sometime. Before she could finish, she got a smack on the head, courtesy of Lu Rian. You dare? Nian clutched her head, aggrieved. Sis, that was way too hard. I stepped between them. Stop hitting her. You'll make her dumber. Lu Rian's gaze snapped to me. You're defending her? You want to meet her classmate's sister? I was completely lost. Since when was this about me? Nian fanned the flames. Number 10G already agreed. You saying no won't change anything. Lu Rian's voice suddenly rose, sharp and loud. It was the first time I'd ever heard her raise her voice. You agreed? Agreed to what? As she spoke, her hand rested on the back of my seat, way too close to my face. My cheeks burned against my will. She noticed. Her expression twisted even more. Why is her classmate's sister allowed? Am I not allowed? I can change my temper, you know? And you're the one who made me angry in the first place. Huh. My mind was nothing but question marks. What was she even talking about? Lu Rian abruptly turned to face the window, her ears visibly scarlet. Never mind. Shut up. 10 minutes. 3 mood flips. Classic Lu Rian. When we reached Mixie Amusement Park, it was packed. I pulled out a VIP card. Let's take the member lane. No waiting. Nian's eyes sparkled. Number 10G, how do you have everything? My mom got me this annual pass. She says I'm in her way at home. Truth is, she's using it as an excuse to hang out with that doctor at the hospital. Before entering, Nian tugged me aside. Number 10G, I'll tell you a secret. What secret? Earlier, in the car, a note fell out of my sister's pocket. I picked it up. What did it say? She leaned in close. It said, date strategy. Buy her milk tea. Hold her hand in the haunted house. Ferris wheel. I couldn't read the rest. She snatched it back. I froze. Date strategy? Buy her milk tea? Who was her? Nian studied me, sighing. Number 10G, looks like you're gonna be my brother-in-law. Stop talking nonsense. But my heartbeat definitely picked up. Then Lu Rian walked over, holding 2 cups of milk tea and an ice cream cone. Here. I stared, dumbfounded. For me? Who else? She turned and walked off, leaving Nian behind, frantically winking at me. I looked down at the milk tea, then up at Lu Rian's retreating figure. Was it really for me? Couldn't be. I shook my head hard. Stay sharp, number 10. She probably just wanted milk tea and bought you one out of habit. But then there was that note Nian mentioned. What should we ride first? Roller coaster or drop tower? I asked. Nian raised her hand. Roller coaster. Lu Rian scrolled through her phone. Wrong. She was checking that note. Haunted house. Nian and I exchanged a glance. Fine. Haunted house it was. With the VIP pass, we skipped the line entirely. Right before entering, I leaned toward Lu Rian and said, purely on impulse, if you're scared, just hold my hand. She shot me a look. Who's scared? For the first 3 minutes, she walked faster than I did. Then the first NPC leapt out of the darkness, shrieking. She nearly jumped out of her skin. Within 2 seconds, she was clinging to my right hand, so tightly my knuckles ached. I didn't offer. You grabbed me. I bit back a laugh. For the next 15 minutes, every time a ghost popped out, she flinched backward. By the time we stumbled out into the sunlight, she was practically hanging off my arm. Once outside, Lu Rian let go, smoothing down her rumpled dress. She avoided my gaze, ears bright red. I didn't look at her either, my heart racing way too fast. We rode the roller coaster and the drop tower after that. Nian screamed in excitement. I nearly passed out from fear. But none of that mattered. The real climax was the last ride. When we queued for the Ferris wheel, the cabin ahead of us departed just as we arrived. Lu Rian suddenly grabbed my hand and pulled me into our cabin. Then she turned to Nian. You take the next one. Nian's eyes went huge, then she grinned knowingly. The doors closed. Inside, it was just me, Lu Rian, and an oblivious couple sitting across from us. The Ferris wheel began to rise, the city lights spreading out beneath us. The couple across from us started cuddling. They say if you kiss at the very top, you'll stay together forever, the girl murmured, leaning against the guy's shoulder. The atmosphere turned awkward. I stared fixedly out the window, pretending I hadn't heard a thing. Suddenly, Lu Rian moved closer. She took my hand, her palms slightly sweaty. We're at the top. Her voice was so soft it felt like it drifted from far away. I turned. Our eyes met. In the glow of the city lights, her eyes shimmered, her ears burning red, her lips trembling faintly. Should we stay together forever too? My brain went bing. Logic, reasoning, rational thought, all offline. Okay. Almost simultaneously, she leaned in. Warm, soft pressure covered my lips. I had no idea how long the kiss lasted. I only remember stepping out of the cabin afterward, Nian staring at Lu Rian in shock. Sis, why are your lips so red? Allergic reaction? Shut up. Lu Rian's face was flaming. After that day, I didn't know how to face Lu Rian anymore. The real-life version of her, I mean. The girl who kissed me on the Ferris wheel. Did she do it because she liked me? Or because she'd realized I was her online boyfriend? Or was it just the atmosphere messing with her head? I wasn't sure, so I started avoiding her. At school, I dodged her whenever possible. At the Liu's, I'd finish teaching Nian Nian and leave immediately, not lingering a second longer. Lu Rian seemed to notice, but said nothing. Sometimes in class, I'd feel a gaze settle on my back. I never had to turn around to know whose it was. Online, her messages dwindled further. No more detailed daily updates, just occasional, bland texts. Are you there? Had dinner. A strange hollow feeling settled in my chest, like something was shifting and slipping through my fingers. Around that time, something else happened, but I'll get to that later. The injury she left me with ran deeper than I realized at the time. Playing basketball one afternoon, the ribs I'd injured during that earlier fight flared up again. A dull, grinding pain shot through my side. I doubled over, cold sweat breaking out instantly. Shinzei panicked and called an ambulance. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed, stinging antiseptic filling my nose, white ceiling above me. I tried to move, my whole body protested. Awake, Lu Rian sat in the chair beside the bed, holding a cup of long cold coffee. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, like she'd been there for hours. What are you doing here? Shinzei called Nian. Nian told me. Her tone was flat, but I noticed how tightly she was gripping the paper cup. Her knuckles were white. Feeling better? Sort of. It hurts. My voice was weak. For some reason, I added, head hurts, legs hurt, everything hurts. Immediately regretted it. Sounded way too much like whining. Lu Rian hesitated, then reached out and gently touched my forehead. The gesture was feather-light, like she was afraid I might shatter. It's okay. I already called your mom. She's on her way. Thanks. She withdrew her hand, her expression shifting into something unreadable, not her usual icy impatience, but more like a predator sizing up its prey. No need to thank me. She paused. Hubby, my entire body stiffened. The air froze for 3 full seconds. What did you just say? I said, no need to thank me. Hubby, she said it as casually as commenting on the weather, but her ears were crimson. I yanked the blanket over my head. Too late. She knows. Lu Rian ripped the covers off my face, looming over me. When were you planning to tell me? How did you even figure it out? A university's #1 hunk. She arched an eyebrow. My online hubby uses the same gamer ID as the guy playing at my house. You really think I wouldn't connect the dots? I had no comeback. That damned ID. How long have you known? Lu Rian counted on her fingers. Since the day Nian showed me your match history. About 2 weeks now. 2 weeks. I'd been pretending to be a stranger in front of her for 2 weeks, while she already knew exactly who I was. So on the Ferris wheel, you knew it was me? She held my gaze, eyes shining. I told you I'd find you. You said I could do whatever I wanted once I did. You also said I could kiss and hug you once I found you. I tried to cover her mouth with my hand, but I was too weak. She caught my wrist easily. You didn't keep your word. I brought you to the hospital. Shouldn't you thank me? I shook my head furiously, my other hand clamped over my own mouth. Lu Rian looked at me and smiled, a smile I'd never seen before. Fine, I'll help myself then. She pried my hand away. I squeezed my eyes shut. Just accept my fate. Staring at my reflection later, lips swollen like sausages, I almost cried. Lu Rian wiped her mouth, satisfied. Hubby, kiss delivered. Once you're better, we can cuddle. I stared at her helplessly. Lu Rian, have you always been this domineering? She tilted her head thoughtfully. Toward you? Yes. Then she dropped the line that completely fried my brain. Let's get married after graduation. When my mom stormed into the hospital room, Lu Rian had already handled all the paperwork. Watching those two women interact was surreal. Mom swept in and gave Lu Rian a thorough once-over, top to bottom, side to side, before breaking into a smile. So you're Rian? I've heard Ten mention you. Since when did I ever mention her? Lu Rian actually looked nervous. Hello, Auntie. My mom grabbed her hand, eyes suspiciously teary. Such a good child. Thank you for taking care of Ten. That boy's just like his father. Terrible with words, soft-hearted, keeps everything bottled up. Lu Rian glanced at me. No, Ten is great. I choked a little on that. Lu Rian thinks I'm great. After discharge, my mom insisted on treating Lu Rian to a meal. At the restaurant, my mom's performance deserved an award. Oh dear, Auntie's family circumstances are modest. I hope you don't feel wronged. Once I'm out of the hospital, we'll make do. What she didn't know was that this modest aunt owned 3 companies, drove a Porsche, and lived in a villa just as large as theirs. Pretending to be poor? My mom was way better at it than I was. After the meal, I pulled my mom aside. Mom, did you ever land that doctor? She shot me a look. Almost. Stop rushing me. Then when are you moving back home? Not until I secure her. Can I at least stay over sometimes? No. How's she supposed to visit if you're there? My mom watched Lu Rian's retreating figure, her tone softening unexpectedly. That girl's wonderful. She really cares about you. Treat her well, understand? Don't be like your father, burying everything inside until it's too late. My mom's gaze drifted into the distance, as if seeing something far away. I nodded. Understood. Only after everything settled did I finally tell the story I'd held back until now. It happened a few days before my basketball accident. That weekend, Chunze texted, "Help. Teaching building, 3rd floor. I found something insane. Get over here." Attached was a location pin. I didn't think twice and went. The moment I pushed the door open, all the blood in my veins turned to ice. Wrong room. It was an abandoned lecture hall in the old teaching building. Inside sat Wang Tung and 4 thugs with tattooed arms. Chunze was pinned in the corner, blood at the corner of his mouth, his phone tossed onto a desk. They'd used Chunze's phone to lure me there. Wang Tung walked toward me, pointing at the fading bruise on his cheek. "Number 10, do you have any idea? Because of that slap, my dad beat me. First time in my life he's ever laid a hand on me." His eyes were twisted with malice. "Your mom refused to sign my dad's contract. Do you know how much face he lost?" So that was it. Wang Tung's father had come to the hospital to negotiate a contract with my mom. I'd mentioned how Wang Tung bullied students, so my mom had shut it down on the spot. "We'll discuss it later." Wang Tung Sr. went home and slapped his son. The next day, he groveled and apologized. The contract was eventually signed, but Wang Tung never forgave me. Now he brought an outside muscle. One of the thugs blocked the exit. Another grabbed me from behind, locking my arms. I struggled wildly, but he was too strong. Another thug rushed in, driving his foot into my ribs, twice. Pain exploded through my side, my vision dimming. Wang Tung pulled out his phone, recording my face. "Rich, huh? Young master, huh? Try buying your way out of this." I lashed out, kicking him square in the groin. As he doubled over in pain, I threw off the guy holding me and lunged for the door. My hand grazed the handle. Then something heavy slammed into the back of my skull. Warm liquid trickled down my cheek. Darkness swallowed my sight. Right before I blacked out, I thought I heard a voice calling from far away. "Number 10. What happened next? I learned from Lu Ruyan and others. That day, while I was teaching Yin Yin, I'd mentioned needing to head to the old teaching building to meet a friend. Yin Yin had casually repeated it. Number 10G says he's going to save the teaching building. Lu Ruyan, sitting on the sofa scrolling through her phone, overheard. She checked her chat logs. Hubby hasn't replied in half an hour. She said she didn't know why, but unease gripped her. She called her cousin Jiang Tao. "Go, come with me to the old teaching building." "What for?" "To hit someone. Probably a scumbag." Jiang Tao was the captain of the university basketball team, 6'3", the kind of guy who could crush a basketball with one hand. When they arrived and pushed open the door, they saw me collapsed on the floor, blood streaming from my head, a thug raising a metal rod to strike again. Jiang Tao said he barely had time to react before Lu Ruyan charged forward. She threw herself over me, taking the blow from the rod on her right forearm, shattering the bone. After that, Jiang Tao handled the rest. In under 2 minutes, all 4 thugs were down. The police arrived shortly after. Wang Tung and his crew were hauled away. Lu Ruyan never told me any of this. She just said, "I got you out," and smugly tapped her chest. She never mentioned her arm, never explained the fracture. I only found out later, from Jiang Tao, on the basketball court. After that incident, Wang Tung was expelled and sentenced. His father's company collapsed. He'd been counting on that project to stay afloat. Rumor had it, he jumped off a building. Wang Tung's sanity didn't fare much better. Served him right. I wouldn't shed a single tear for him. But his father's ending was tragic. Raising a son like that ended up costing him everything. Chunze's injuries were minor, just a split lip. He apologized for a straight week. "It's my fault. They stole my phone." "Drop it. Not your fault. Bro, tell me honestly, does Lu Ruyan like you?" "Don't talk nonsense. She broke her arm saving you." "How is that nonsense?" I didn't answer, but I stared at the messages on my phone for a long, long time. "Hubby, if I find you all by myself, can we kiss and cuddle?" She'd sent that ages ago. Back then, I'd replied, "Sure, go ahead, if you can." She'd found me. She'd kissed me. She'd cuddled me. She'd taken a steel rod for me. "Lu Ruyan, what am I supposed to do with you?" The first day after leaving the hospital, I went to the Lu residence. It wasn't a scheduled day, but I wanted to go anyway. Yin Yin bolted toward me the second I walked in. "Number 10G. Finally, I can't do my programming homework." Uncle Lu handed me a bowl of soup. "Recovered now? Don't get into fights anymore." "Wasn't me fighting." "I know." He patted my shoulder. "You did the right thing." Lu Ruyan came downstairs. She paused when she saw me, then sat on the sofa as if nothing had happened. But I noticed she'd changed into a new dress, and she was wearing light makeup at home. Yin Yin dragged me into her room, shutting the door. "Number 10G, let me tell you, my sister asks about you every day. Seriously, and she checks herself in the mirror constantly. She never used to wear makeup at home." Lowering her voice, she added, "No, 10G, Are you already my brother-in-law? No, stop saying that. Heh, your face is red. After finishing Nyan's lesson, I prepared to leave. Lu Rian stood at the door, car keys in hand. I'll drive you. Not because Uncle Lu asked. She decided herself. The Ferrari's engine growled low in the evening air. Inside the car, silence reigned, broken only by the faint trace of her perfume. Number 10. She kept her eyes on the road, speaking only after a long pause. When did you figure out who I was? First day I fixed your computer. I guessed. Her grip on the steering wheel tightened. Then why didn't you say anything? Was afraid you'd kill me. She laughed, actually laughed. A real laugh, not a cold one, not a mocking one. It was the first time I'd ever heard her laugh like that. You've got quite the self-awareness. She pulled over and parked. Turning to face me, the streetlight filtering through the window painted gold across her features. Number 10, I have a question. Shoot, do you like the online me or the real me? I thought about it. The online you is adorable when you act spoiled. Her ears turned red again. But the real you broke your arm saving me. You stayed up all night at the hospital. You act cold, but you've never truly embarrassed me. Back at that programming contest, your answer wasn't wrong, just not precise enough. But you didn't argue, because you didn't want the team to look bad in front of the judges. I watched the recording later and realized that. Lu Rian froze. You watched the recording? When? Not long after. Something felt off, so I checked. Turns out I was wrong. Then why didn't you explain? You wouldn't have believed me. By then, the rumors were already out there. Silence stretched inside the car. You're an idiot. Yeah. If you'd explained sooner, we could have made up ages ago. Yeah, whatever. What was I supposed to say? That you liked me? I looked at her. She looked at me. Outside, a street lamp cast our overlapping shadows across the seats. Lu Rian. I like you. The online you. The real you. Every version of you. Her eyes lit up. Then she grabbed my collar. Took you long enough. From now on, no more avoiding me. Got it. She released me and restarted the car. Go home. Class tomorrow. But her smile stayed on her face the entire drive. Many years later, I stood at the end of the aisle, bouquet in hand. Lu Rian walked toward me in her wedding dress, a cloud drifting out of a painting. The officiant asked for her vows. She looked at me, eyes glistening. Number 10, if my life is a poem, you'll be written on its title page. Everything after will be the verses. People read the title page before they read the poem. I'll carry the love written on that page and live the rest of my life by it. Behind me, someone was crying. My mom. Next to her sat the doctor she'd finally won over, frantically handing her tissues. Nyan, in the front row, was sobbing openly. I knew it. I knew number 10G would be my brother-in-law. Uncle Lu stayed composed, though his eyes were red too. I gazed at Lu Rian. I do. Extra scene 1. The morning after. I woke up freezing. Late autumn nights had a brutal temperature drop. We'd been too exhausted the night before to close the window. Lu Rian had wrapped herself into a cocoon of blankets, labels sticking out. Last night's makeup hadn't been removed. Now it was smeared everywhere. Still, she was beautiful enough that it didn't matter. She frowned in her sleep, tiny brows knitted like she was battling monsters in a dream. I got up, shut the window, and turned to make breakfast. I glanced at her again. Certain she was still asleep, I leaned down to kiss her. The second I got close, she opened her eyes. A heartbeat later, the blanket was over my head. A dull thud landed in my gut as she kicked me. I staggered back, hitting the floor. By the time I freed myself, Lu Rian had already dressed at lightning speed. Scarlet-faced, she jabbed a finger at me. Number 10, you pervert. I wasn't even dressed yet. What were you thinking? We're married, for heaven's sake. I wasn't thinking. I'm not used to this yet. Blame yourself. Who kept me up all night? You said just once. Did your math teacher major in gym? A knock sounded at the door. My mom's voice filtered through, laced with poorly concealed amusement. 10, Rin, you two awake? Breakfast's ready. Come out. We both fell silent. Lu Rian hissed at me. Did she hear that? With your volume, just now? Obviously. Blame yourself. She punched my chest. I scooped her up. She buried her face in my neck, mumbling, made a fool of myself first thing in the morning. All your fault. Smiling, I carried her toward the door. Extra scene 2, the truth behind the rescue. Much later, during a casual basketball game, my opponent was Jiang Tao, the team captain. He dribbled lazily. Feeling better now? Yeah. Were you asking about me? About that teaching building incident. How'd you know? Distracted, I let him sink a clean three-pointer. Swish. Nothing but net. From the sidelines, Lu Rian cheered louder. Go, number 10. I snapped back to focus. Not cool. He grinned. Three-pointer for my savior. What's the problem? You were the one who saved me. He nodded, still dribbling. That day, Rian called me. Said she needed backup to hit someone at the teaching building. Asked who it was. She just said a scumbag. Scumbag meaning me? Exactly. Then what? We got there. You were on the ground, blood all over your head. Some punk was raising a metal rod to smash your skull in. I didn't even get a chance to move. Ryan just launched herself forward. He stopped, looking at me. You know what she did? She threw herself over you and held on tight, shielding you. Wouldn't let anyone near you. When I saw my cousin being hit, I took down 2 guys in seconds. 2 minutes, all 4 were down. When the cops showed up, Ryan was still holding you, wouldn't let go. I stood frozen on the court. The ball rolled away. Why hadn't she told me? Jiang Tao clapped my shoulder. She said if you knew she took the hit for you, you'd blame yourself. She didn't want that. She just wanted you to know you were safe. My vision blurred. From the sidelines, Lu Ryan was still cheering, her voice ringing clear as a song in the sunlight. I tossed the ball to Jiang Tao and ran straight toward her. Extra scene 3, confession on the court. It was an ordinary afternoon. I was playing one-on-one against Jiang Tao. Ryan sat courtside, cheering me on. Some random guy sidled up to her. Senior, I've liked you for a long time. This is for you. He held out flowers and a small gift box. Ryan frowned. I tossed the ball to Jiang Tao, marched over, and wedged myself between them, shoving the guy's hand back. Sorry, her gifts are my job. The guy blinked, confused. Wait, who are you? Her boyfriend. You're her boyfriend? She hasn't even agreed to date you. You've got some nerve. Has she even admitted it? I turned to Ryan. She was still processing. I slid an arm around her waist, ignoring her startled look, and kissed her right there. The entire court erupted. Whoa, Ice Queen's taken? Isn't that the programming contest guy? Guess my youth is officially over. When we broke apart, Ryan's face was scarlet, her expression shifting from shock to mock annoyance to uncontainable joy. I turned back to the stunned guy, pulling out some cash. I'll take the flowers. Here's your money back. Don't mention it. Then I grabbed Ryan's hand and shouted loud enough for the whole court to hear. Lu Ryan, be my girlfriend. She lowered her head, biting her lip for a long, long time. Silence fell over the court. Finally, she forced out 2 words. All right. The sunset stretched our shadows long across the pavement. Extra scene 4, the anniversary. Half a month later was my father's death anniversary. Every year, my mom would go into overdrive. Paper ingots, paper money, paper mansions. Your dad never earned much, and he refused to spend my money. Now, if I burn enough, he won't have a choice but to accept it. Tears would fall onto the paper offerings, dampening them. But this year, she was strangely quiet. No paper supplies appeared. She barely ate, barely slept, just stared at the calendar in a daze. I knew why. She was afraid. Afraid the doctor wouldn't approve. Afraid her new life shouldn't carry the scent of sacrifice. That morning, at 5 a.m., I drove Lu Ryan's Ferrari across the still-sleeping city. She sat in the passenger seat, dressed in a black slip dress. She'd insisted on coming with me tonight. Morning mist still clung to the air, cold seeping through the windows. I shrugged off my suit jacket and draped it over her shoulders. Cold. You're barely dressed. She burrowed into my arms. Closer to you, I'm warm. Halfway up the hill, last year's chrysanthemums had withered to ash. I crouched, placing fresh flowers. Dad, I'm married now. Her name's Lu Ryan. She's beautiful. Her temper's not great, but she treats me well. You can rest easy. Lu Ryan stood behind me, silent, only reaching out to hold my hand. Down the mountain, a Porsche's engine hummed closer. My mom climbed up in a black trench coat, arms full of white roses. Her eyes were red. You brat, driving off without me. Ferrari too small? Useless. Had to rely on the doctor to drive me. I glanced downhill. The doctor in the Porsche waved at me. Mom placed the flowers at the base of the gravestone, crouching to wipe away the dust with her fingers. She said nothing aloud, but I knew she said plenty. The living carry the dead in their hearts, never spoken, never forgotten.